Chapter 8 Friends in Low Places. The First Hell. Player ByggDykk executed. Player rank 1,712,987,122. Congratulations, Pretty Kitty 6969420. You have advanced in ranking. Previous rank 1,975,407,786. New rank 1,844,197,454. Previous percentile 93%. New percentile 87%. New percentile achieved. Congratulations, you are showing your true power. Your buffs have been modified. Cosmetic items unlocked. See your wardrobe for more details. Congratulations, you have crossed the threshold of the 90th percentile and into the 80s. You have unlocked the path to the second level. Ability unlocked. Portal level 1. Grants player the ability to summon a portal to the first level of Hellscape, anywhere portals are permitted. Portal level 2. Grants player the ability to summon a portal to the second level of Hellscape, anywhere portals are permitted.
Bravo!
The prisoner cheered as he enthusiastically clapped his hands together.
Curse these abominable flames and curse the people that dwell within them. Bravo, brave warrior! Your presence truly has brought a light to the darkness that is these very hells.
Whatever then, Crinnan replied. He glanced up at the prisoner and saw that he was tall and thin-framed. A vampire with a brown ponytail and thick mustache. He looked to have no physical strength about him and seemed a bit bookish.
Such a fortuitous occurrence, the vampire gushed. An epic display of strength. Truly I have found myself in the company of a true warrior.
Fortuitous, Crinnan repeated sourly. Why do you talk like that?
Oh, well, you see, noble warrior, the prisoner responded. I do not hail from the current era, as I assume you do. I come from a time of discovery, of peace and science, a truly magnificent period that you may refer to as the ancient times. I speak as I was taught, as was common.
You are an ancient? Crinnan clarified, thinking back to Sage. So, you've heard of the afterscape?
Aye,
he replied, suddenly unsure of himself.
I think I do.
What do you mean? Crinnan asked. Do you or not?
Much is lost in this place, my friend, the prisoner said. I have sacrificed much of my memory to maintain my sanity.
What is your name? Crinnan asked.
My name,
the prisoner repeated. He paused a moment and smiled.
Do forgive me, for I have not spoken my name in many decades. I was called Frima Anderdin Lacoste, though my associates and loved ones refer to me as Ander. How may I be so honored as to address you, dear warrior?
I'm Crinnan, he replied, Centurion of Black Knight.
Black Knight,
Ander repeated quickly. He paused and thought to himself, his head suddenly ticking to the side.
Why, I have never heard of such a thing. Is that a new corporation?
We are the Resistance, Crinnan replied. An army which fights the Govian Empire, the people who sent us here.
You seek to free the prisoners of the hells? Ander asked. Such a noble cause.
No. Crinnan shook his head and looked away. Our mission is to overthrow the Govian Empire. We never thought it possible to free the people of the hells. I mean, a lot of us just think the hells is just a story. Clearly it isn't.
Indeed.
Ander nodded his head slowly.
'Tis understandable. Why would the living concern themselves with the woes of the dead? And, as you say, how could they, if they do not know the dead exist?
Yo, ByggDykk! Where you at, bro?
A voice suddenly called out.
We need to get going. You done with your little mustache, bitch?
Little mustache, bitch? Ander scoffed. Why, I never. Relax. Crinnan held his hand out to steady the ancient and rolled his eyes. I'll take care of him.
Over here!
Crinnan heard the disembodied voice of ByggDykk frantically scream.
By the goddess, I can't log out. Lockdown is still up. It says I'm a prisoner. I'm stuck and the kids need to be picked up from school.
Your kids? Crinnan looked down at ByggDykk's body and felt a wave of anxiety come over him. You have kids?
Yeah, you fucking asshole.
The demon turned prisoner shouted.
My kids are at school. I'm a single father. I am all my kids have. I need to leave. I need to go get them. What have you done?
I haven't done shit. Crinnan felt his heart sink as he looked around nervously. What had he done? Had he just taken a father from his children? That idea made him feel like a monster. But it wasn't his fault, and it wasn't the first father that he'd killed. You were raping him! You torture people! Crinnan shouted back, bringing light to the person's crimes as justification. What was I supposed to do? Just let you fuck him to death after you tore my head off?
It is a game!
ByggDykk wailed.
It's just a fucking game and I can't log out because of you! By the goddess!
Crinnan heard the demon begin to weep.
My kids need their dad. The rebels killed their mom just a few months ago.
Crinnan shook his head. He could not get the idea out of his mind that he had just ruined the lives of some innocent children. He sighed and pursed his lips together as he squeezed the handle of his sword. Furiously, he started to run in the direction that the other voice had come from. He knew he had to do something.
ByggDykk! Jaren! Where are you?
Crinnan heard the voice call out.
We need to log out and... Hey, who are you?
Crinnan approached the other player quickly and furiously. He appeared to be the size of a normal person and had basic brown leather armor equipped. Crinnan immediately sent his fist into the player's jaw and knocked him backward. The demon did not fall, but as he staggered, Crinnan raised his sword so that the point rested against his throat. You're looking for ByggDykk? Crinnan rolled his eyes at the ridiculous name, and the demon gave him a confused nod.
You're a prisoner? He whispered. How did you... You can't hurt me.
Crinnan groaned and gently swung his sword upward, cutting into the demon's face. Blood trickled out of the wound, and the demon gasped and reached up to grab his wound.
How is this possible?
He shouted.
What are you?
I'm your fucking daddy. Do you know ByggDykk? Crinnan shouted. Answer me!
Yes,
the demon furiously replied.
He's my brother!
Thoughts of his own brothers briefly flashed through Crinnan's mind. He shook his head and held back his rage. The fact that these Govians were real people was infuriating him. Why couldn't it have been simple like it was on a battlefield? Your brother can't leave the Hells. He's a prisoner now, Crinnan snapped. You need to go get his kids. You need to take them to your house. Your brother will probably not be coming back.
What do you mean?
The demon's voice cracked.
Have you kidnapped him? Where is Jaren? What is going on?
Just fucking do it, damn it, Crinnan hissed as he pushed the blade toward the demon's throat. And go now, before I change my mind. The demon looked like he was contemplating it all for a moment, but finally looked up with a bitter expression and nodded his head.
You'll pay one day,
he snapped as he reached his hand out and pointed at Crinnan.
Wait, how am I supposed to do anything if I can't log out?
I'm sure you'll figure something out, Crinnan spat. Not my problem. Now get out of here. The demon hissed a significant number of courses, but ultimately turned and fled. Finally, Crinnan was alone. He snarled and growled. He could not shake the shame he felt. He hated the moments that he thought about the people he killed, and usually was able to bury those thoughts inside him. It had never been that bad, though. The fact that the Govian could talk to him after death, that was what made it difficult. Crinnan wandered back to the body of ByggDykk and looked down at him. It was nothing more than a lifeless, bloody corpse, and Crinnan sighed as he spoke. Your kids will be fine. Your brother's taking care of it.
You piece of shit!
ByggDykk snarled.
You've taken them from me. You've ruined their lives. You are evil, a worthless piece of garbage.
And you're a rapist murderer, Crinnan countered with just as much ferocity. Just as much a piece of shit as you say I am.
It is a game.
The dead demon insisted.
A fucking game. It isn't real.
Tell me I'm not fucking real, Crinnan yelled. You think it didn't hurt when you tore my whole ass head off? When you shoved that hook through my body? You think any prisoner here doesn't feel pain when you torture or rape them? Your government made this place, and you've shown exactly what kind of person you really are. Your kids will be fine, but fuck you and fuck Govia. Have fun crying. At that, Crinnan turned and walked away. ByggDykk shouted every manner of curse at Crinnan as he departed, but Crinnan was done with it all, with the demon and the talking. He had work to do. He had his own salvation to achieve, and he was not going to waste any more time. A measure of great benevolence, to be sure, Ender chirped as he ran up behind Crinnan. Verily, you are indeed a being of great moral fortitude. Tell me, O champion Black Knight Crinnan, where do you go from here? I don't know, Crinnan answered. Based on what the system told me, I should be able to open a portal to the second level now. I unlocked an ability or whatever to do it. A small piece of ground suddenly started to tremble and mound up in front of them. Crinnan watched as a hell spider's pointed legs pierced through the dirt, and he sighed and jammed the point of his sword into the mound. He heard a screech, and then a black plume of smoke rose upward.
Hell spider killed. Plus 100 rank. New rank. 1,844,197,354.
Do you have any idea how to do it? Crinnan asked. How to open the portal to the second level? If it is an ability you have obtained, then the act of willing the portal should be sufficient, Ender replied. What does that mean? Crinnan asked. Have you ever made a wish as you blew out the candles on your birthday cake? Ender asked. Sure, Crinnan replied. Images of birthdays flashed through his mind. He saw his family surrounding him, and an image of his younger sulking self with a cone-shaped party hat on his head. Willing an ability based on my vague memories of using abilities in the real world is like making a wish. Try it. Crinnan shifted uncomfortably in place and then cleared his throat. This was going to look ridiculous. I wish for a portal to the second level, Crinnan mumbled, a bit embarrassed by his own words. Please? A small blue globe suddenly appeared in front of Crinnan, and he eyed it curiously. The globe expanded and flattened until it resembled a swirling, arched doorway. A gentle breeze emitted from the portal and swirled around Crinnan, who then looked over at Ender. I will go first, Ender said with a nod. For once you walk through the portal, it will close. That is, if you'll have me. Crinnan eyed the vampire and sighed. He'd rescued him, and a certain feeling of responsibility for the thin, defenseless person hung over Crinnan's head. He shrugged his shoulders and gestured toward the portal. Whatever then, Crinnan sighed. Going through, I guess. Ender smiled and nodded his head in response. Then onward to greater things, Ender said. He took a step forward, disappearing in the swirling blue light, and Crinnan took a breath. By the brothers, if this fucking thing rips me apart and I have to start all over, I'm going to be pissed, he groaned. Steeling himself, he walked forward and into the light.